Smith History.
Hello and welcome back to Smith History. Today we're going to be talking about the Second World War and how Hitler rose to power. Well, if you're going to talk about how Hitler rose to power, you need to go back to the Treaty of Versailles. So when the First World War ended, on November 11th, 1918, countries such as England and France rushed to create a treaty. As this was happening, just before the treaty was signed, the ruler of Germany, Kaiser Wilhelm II, fled, and his place was taken by the new government, a set of German politicians who met in the town of Weimar and who drew up the first democratic constitution. Now, Germany, by this constitution, had become a republic. Finally, just a few days later, on the 28th of June 1919, the new government was forced to sign the Treaty of Versailles, which stated the surrender of all German colonies, limits on arms and forces and equipment, 33 billion in reparations, which, if you put this into context, was only paid off in September 29th, 2010. So that's a lot. They also had to say that they were responsible for the war, which they were most certainly not. All of this caused great unrest in Germany. The new government had to borrow money from America to prop up its economy. The Weimar Republic was actually very democratic. All men and women could vote for its parliament, the Reichstag, and the Reichstag made its laws, approved taxes, and elected the government. The people also elected the president, who stayed in office for a long time of 7 years. But yet many powerful groups in Germany did not like this new republic. They included businessmen, army officers, and judges. They looked back on the good days when the Kaiser ruled, and many of them had more power. The German economy was badly damaged by the war. Many people were out of work and they were hungry and cold. Some of them became communists. In 1990, there was several communist-led revolts around Germany, though none of these were actually successful. Riots between communists and their opponents were common. Now, we'll take a look at Hitler. Adolf Hitler was born on the 20th of April. He was born in Austria, in an Upper Austrian town on the Austrian-German border. His father, Alois, was a customs official, while his mother, Clara, came from a poor peasant family. Life was financially comfortable for the Hitler family. But unfortunately he left school with no qualifications at 16. He wanted to be a painter, and after the death of his father in 1903, Hitler would try to make this dream a reality. He applied to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, but was promptly rejected in October 1907. He moved to Vienna and lived by sleeping in hostels and painting postcards. Here he began to develop many of the views which would later characterize his ideology and his desire to unite Germany with Austria. The anti-Semitic policies of Vienna's mayor, Karl Lueger, were particularly influential. Then around 1913, determined to avoid military service, he moved to Munich, Germany. Hitler was keen to prove his loyalty to Germany. In August 1914, the world was plunged into a war unlike any had ever seen before. Hitler quickly enlisted in the army and finally found a purpose, a cause of which he could wholly identify. Serving in both France and Belgium, he was twice decorated for bravery. In 1916, Hitler was wounded on the Somme, one of the bloodiest battles of the war. His life was once saved by a British soldier. Then, while Hitler was wounded for a second time following the British gas attack, while recovering in Pasewalk, the unthinkable happened. Germany surrendered. Later, Hitler was sent to report on an emerging far-right group called the German Workers' Party. This would later be called the Nazi Party. Finally, he agreed with their nationalist anti-Semitic beliefs. He joined. Hitler's oratory skills helped him rise quickly through the ranks of his new party. In February, he spoke before a crowd of nearly 6,000 people in Munich. The party's executive, including founder Anton Drexler, was uneasy at Hitler's growing popularity, and in an attempt to weaken his position, they formed an alliance with a socialist group, while Hitler was in Berlin visiting other nationalist parties. This backfired spectacularly. Hitler promptly resigned and only rejoined when he was handed sole control. Hitler formed his own private army led by Ernst Röhm. This was called the SA. They were very violent. They protected Nazi meetings and fought communists. You can see the similarities between Italy and Germany. While Mussolini's private army were nicknamed the Black Shirts, Hitler's SA were nicknamed the Brown Shirts. He also had the SS, who acted as Hitler's personal bodyguards. Then, in November 1923, 1 year and a month after Mussolini's march on Rome, Hitler marches on Berlin. This was easily defeated and Hitler was sent to jail. However, the judge at his trial sympathized with Hitler. The sentence was very short, of 5 years, and of which he only served 8 months. While he was in prison, Hitler wrote his first book, Mein Kampf, or My Struggle. In this book, he put forward his beliefs. Germans were superior. Austria and other German-speaking areas in Europe should be united with Germany. Then, when Hitler came out of prison, he discovered that the economy was being rebuilt. New jobs were being created, and the party only got 12 seats. Then the Wall Street crash happened. Quickly, the Americans withdrew their support and took back the money. This caused unemployment to rise. By 1932, there was over 6 million people without a job in Germany. Many workers saw communism as the only solution. The growth of communists scared many Germans, so they voted for the Nazis. The Nazi Party won 107 seats in the 1930 election. Hitler blamed Germany's troubles on the Treaty of Versailles, the Jews, and the communists, so the people would have someone to point the finger at. On the 30th of January 1933, Hitler became Chancellor of Germany after being appointed by President Hindenburg. First, Hitler called an election and increased the number of seats in Parliament. Then, just like Italy, the Nazis took control of the police. The brown shirts were now free to beat up and in some cases kill political opponents. A secret police known as the Gestapo was established. Then, just as communists became the only political rivals of the Nazis, the tide turned. On the 27th of February 1933, the German Parliament building, the Reichstag, was set on fire. Hitler claimed that a Dutch communist by the name of Marcus van Gruber was responsible, and claimed that the fire was a signal for a communist revolt. There was no evidence for his claim, but that did not matter. The Communist Party was banned and over 10,000 people were arrested. In March 1933, the German Parliament passed a law called the Enabling Act. This gave Hitler the power to pass laws without getting them approved by Parliament. He was now a dictator. First, Hitler arranged for all political parties and trade unions to be banned by the summer of 1933. Hitler takes on the name of Der Führer, or the leader. One problem Hitler faced was how to deal with the growing power of the brown shirts. Led by Ernst Röhm, this organization had over 2 million members. Röhm talked about making the SA the new German army, and this worried many army generals. So, on the 30th of June 1934, Hitler ordered the death of many political opponents, including Röhm. This became known as the Night of the Long Knives. Propaganda played a very important role in Nazi Germany. Directed by Joseph Goebbels, the Nazis were very successful at getting their message across to the German people. Newspapers were only allowed to report the news that the Nazis approved. Cheap radio sets were sold so that many people as possible could hear Hitler speak. Hitler wanted to control all young minds and subjects such as history were changed to reflect Nazi views. Teachers had to give the Nazi salute to all the classes. The Nazis made sure that all boys and girls attended Nazi youth groups. So boys at the age of 14 joined the Hitler Youth. Quite quickly, Hitler makes it clear that there will not be free speech in Nazi Germany. People who try to, fight against the right violations and the fact that people are getting killed, they are being killed themselves. And it's very important to realise that the Nazis are most certainly ruling through fear. Young people were also thought to hate all Jewish people. Hitler began the rearmament with more ships, submarines and planes. He began conscription to increase the size of the German army, and this was going directly against the Treaty of Versailles. Hitler passed the Nuremberg laws to deprive Jewish persons of German citizenship, banned them from marrying non-Jews and forced them to wear the Star of David. Then, on the 9th and 10th of November 1938, every Jewish place of worship in Germany was attacked. Jewish property and shops were destroyed. 91 Jewish people were killed, and 30,000 were sent to concentration camps. The Jewish community was ordered to pay 1 billion marks. This was known as the Night of Broken Glass. Then, less than a year later, the Germans invaded Poland, and the Second World War begins. Well, thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe for more videos. You may also like Smith Facts. Smith History is an original Smith Co. series.
Next time, we'll be looking at superpowers. Not superheroes, superpowers, as in, countries that, became like super powerful, not like individuals that had magical powers like the ability to fly. No, not that. No, countries that had like superior weapons and, that countries with superior weapons, that's what I mean. No, not people with superpowers.